Hello, my name is Shayne Coffin, and I am a poet who comes from Guelph, Ontario. Today I'm going to be reading a few selections from some of my books of poetry. I'm going to start with one that came out last year that is called Joe Batsaram and Other Islands. This collection was written over 2 summers, in July of 2017 and August of 2018. It was a pilgrimage, and I drove about 10 to 20,000 kilometers through the northeastern United States, about 5 states, and then the 6 provinces of eastern Canada. I was visiting the land where the paternal side of my family landed 200 years ago, a small village called Joe Batsaram located in Fogo Island, which is another little island north of Newfoundland. The first poem I'm going to be reading is called West Highway Burying Ground, and this was a spiritual poem I wrote while visiting the grave of Emily Dickinson. And there's a small epigraph at the beginning. A coffin is a small domain, yet able to contain a citizen of paradise in its diminished plane. Emily Dickinson. You have found everlasting fame, dissolved into oblivion under your second bed. You are not a single entity, crossed over hidden portals, but divided into millions of editions, to swirl over the minds of your generations of admirers who pay homage to you in pens and fan mail, which decorate your nicely made new home with all the abolitionists and former kin, across from the high-sprouting fetus of chipboard and its ironic new life. This would be so terrifying to your homebody, displaced by the rears of motels, their blind patrons disappearing behind the alleys of dumpsters, and long grass, not satisfied with flesh alone, hungry for 200 years. Now they topple and swallow your charcoal-slated neighbors and pen pals. Those who fell the first trees and wheeled their caravans along the main thoroughfare from Boston to Amherst. Their homes are now plastic-windowed plazas and convenience stores, geared income units slashing the last of the legacies acre by acre, while the raised and cultivated land evicts the formerly tended plots of their first families. But you retain your privacy, as in life before, and would see the beauty of the bone-colored stone, still alone while surrounded in stately decorum, in death which you wrote so well of while living even more, once called back. That was written at West Cemetery in Amherst, Massachusetts. And the next poem I'm going to read from Joe Batsaram and Other Islands is a smaller poem, and this one is entitled Meadow of the Norse. And it was written in Lance O'Meadows, Newfoundland, at the Viking Heritage Site. Native land spirits sent scattering by pagan dragons, the acidic bogs cursed with infested giant hogweed. Where have the salmon gone in the raging narrow stream? With the dark smell of black slag and charred smelt hiding under pea sod, hard wood spoils sold for huts, blacksmiths retired into fossils. Even a lord's hall among men is a mound among serfs under farmers' grass. For all that we conquer and make an empire, a cloak pin and spindle whirl is how we are remembered, in locked cases, with our own disappearance from the land of wine. Those were the 2 poems from Joe Batsaram and Other Islands. And I have one poem I would like to read from my most recent collection of poetry, which came out just this year, which is entitled Porch, Season on Edwin. This is a more airy, flowery collection, sort of a book of philosophy, while I lived downtown Guelph in a turn-of-the-century beautiful red brick house. Pretty much all the poems were written on the porch of that house. And this poem I'm going to read is entitled, I Dream of Edwardian Times. I dream of Edwardian times, especially among the flowers in my straw hat, under the hanging baskets half-blossomed and scentless, fastened to the swaying chains, silent wind chimes partially shaded, rose petticoat on the table next to scarlet and yellow dahlias under the full sun. I fantasize about opened vests, collarless cotton shirts and suspenders, who raised their own perennials under the modern pine bushes. Alongside high-waisted black skirts and long-sleeved white blouses, hats fastened by black ribbon, they had cool lemonade or tea where I sit now. They caught sight of the extinct streetcars rolling down Woolwich on lazy days following Mass. I daydream about she who has shared my company, flower-print dresses, lily-of-the-valley thighs that sprout the finest blonde leaves, so faint they are sparkling rays of spring sun when so close. I should like to ask her to go on a picnic with me, unfasten some horses. And that was a poem from Porch's man Edwin. And both of these books of poetry, as well as my two others, can all be purchased from the same sites, which is chapters.indigo.ca, amazon.com, and volumesdirect.com. And I thank you for taking the time to listen to my poems, and I hope that you enjoyed them. Well, thank you. Thank you.